It's
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, least but not last, or least but, well, whatever. Good morning to the world. Good morning to every corner where our 100,000 watt transmitter seeps into those antennas that are still picking up analog and digital signals. Anyhow, as well, good morning to everybody on the internet who have access to listening to KPFT and watching the videos that we do as we move on with the show. But before or without any further ado, let's move on to the geniuses in the studio. Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Beber. How are my peeps doing this morning?
Well, Jack is a genius here, not I. We didn't hear you at first.
Well, I was waiting for the entry. I was waiting for that entry with your deep voice saying, "This is KPFT, and we are doing all the necessary things to keep America alive." But you didn't come in, so I was waiting.
Well, that was my fault. I didn't put that in there. So let's do a legal ID here at KPFT Houston, broadcasting in Houston at 90.1, Galveston 89.5, and Huntsville is listening in at 89.7. And now I think with Tin Cans and Stringer all holding up. And Jack, you got a page of wisdom over there for us this morning?
Yes, yeah. Conservation versus consumption, reverence versus exploitation, peace versus war, giving versus selfishness, humility versus arrogance, acceptance versus denial. Find a way to accept your brother or sister even when you think they're wrong. Flee from hatred, as Bob Marley says. It only makes you hate.
Yeah, that's why I accept Jack. I could not do this. I could not do this show without Jack. And on Fridays, this man is just, he shines. I just sit here and play the records, man. Jack really does the show.
Yeah, but my writing's real bad.
Well, there is that. I've been meaning to speak to you about that. Can you just write in block print so I can read it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
This is what happens when you deal with somebody you can't read.
Oh man, it's not working. It's not working. But man, I last couple of times I wasn't able to listen to your show, man. But I know that
you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss a thing.
We know you know what you guys do, man. We know what you guys do. But Jack, it's amazing that you are talked about that because I like the part that you talk about. Try to find a way to talk to other folks, including the ones that you think you completely disagree with. I had right after my 3:00 show yesterday, I got a text from one of our great PDR Posse members, and she's like, "Egberto, I can't take this anymore. I think I've got to stop for a while." And I'm like, "You'll be, first of all, take a break from politics if that's what you need to do, or for a while." But the one thing you can't do though is let somebody and because you fear so much the engagement with those who, as far as you're concerned, they're out of their minds. How can they do things that hurt themselves and think that it's all okay? At some point you have to just sit back and say, if you have a kid or if you have an adult that is making the wrong choices, that's your relatives or your family, you're not going to just throw your hands up and say, "To hell with you, bye-bye." Well, I guess some people would do that, but most of us wouldn't. You would sit back there and try to work with that person. Sometimes you just try to learn how to ignore that person, but still exist. And so what I told her is, stick around and, when you have to tune a part of your chat out, because we do a lot of chat on the 3:00 show. When you have to tune the chat out, tune it out, but don't let them change who you are. Don't let them change what you believe in, as far as what you know is right, because at that point they win. And that's one of the things I say about um, our country in general, right? The the people, the very few people, and when I say very few, I mean very few people, at relative to the total population of the United States, are doing exceedingly well. In fact, exceedingly well on our backs. And people just don't like to see that. They like to put blinders on and that, but that is the reality. But the only way that that reality stays in existence, if they somehow can have you worried about so many other things that you don't, the other person is trying to harm you. That person is no good. Now, when you sit back and ask why, it makes no sense. I mean, we have on the first of every month, all right, the first Saturday of every month, we have a little program called Ask Egberto Anything. And it's, for some reason, we had a small one Saturday, and it was all guys. It was all, I was like, where are the women? Where are the women? Usually it's mostly women. Usually this time it was all guys. And we're there talking, And one of the things that we came out and we said is like, and by the way, it was two conservatives and actually it was five of us. It was two conservatives, three progressives. And we're talking. And the idea was, if we can do this here, right, we can find a way to expand and do it otherwise. So look, the top depends. They can only succeed if you can think the fight is with your neighbor, if you can think the fight is with the other. They can only rip you off, succeed in letting you worry about all the things that don't concern, that doesn't really affect you. They can only succeed if they can keep you off. Back in a few years ago, I was on the board of Move to Amend. It was an organization to create the 28th constitutional amendment that said money is not speech and corporations are not people. Corporation is not a person. Because, believe it or not, that has really corrupted our politics and the amount of monies that it allows corporations as an individual. Remember now, you are an individual with a social security number and all that kind of stuff. Anytime you see the word LLC or corp or Inc. or whatever, that entity is it's equivalent to a breathing, living human being. And all the things that's done under that name is on them. So you can have a board of directors and a company, Exxon Inc. or whatever. When Exxon does something wrong, it's not the execs and all these guys that are condemned or whatever. It is that corporation is a person. So we have allowed the creations of things that can do wrong. And if for some reason we, the jury, finds that thing has done wrong, then that thing is what pays. But by then we would have the executives have extracted all the bonuses and the shareholders have extracted all the dividends. So if it does a whole lot of wrong for a long time and then finally get caught, you dissolve the corporation, it goes away, nobody loses. People say, oh, well, they lost their stocks. Well, add up all the dividends and appreciation that they've gotten over the years. When I talk about a system that is designed for the few, that so few of us understand how it works. But anyway, as I was moved to amend and creating the 28th Amendment, one of the things that we sat around and talked, we would lock ourselves up twice a year in a house in some city. It would be Chicago, Berkeley, Baltimore, DC, anywhere. We'll just go rent a house and there'll be 12 of us in there brainstorming and bringing folks in to talk about how we get it. And we got a lot of lawmakers who actually, supported the 28th Amendment. Look it up, the 28th Amendment, Move to Amend, etc., etc. But the idea is, how do we teach people how the system really works? Because most of us go about our lives and we just think it's everybody is doing their thing. but that's not how it works. Bread and circus. Bread and circus. There was one of the skit that was put on by Move to Amend. What's the Mormon state? Move to Amend. Which state is the Mormon state? Howard.
Utah.
What is it? Utah. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Utah. And in Utah, the Move to Amend in Utah, they created a skit. Never forgot it. Ashley, that's her name of the woman who wrote the skit. And they built a carriage and everything, and they called it Bread and Circus. And what they showed in that skit, and you can find that skit on my website, egbertowillies.com, Bread and Circus. What the skit showed, and it's about a half-hour long skit or something like that, maybe 50, I don't remember how long it is. But anyway, she did such a great job in putting away, showing that what corporations and the entities do is they keep you so distracted, and they follow the rules of what the kings used to do, right? They made sure their subjects were entertained and fed cheaply. Bread and circus. Bread and circus. And if you take a look, we do that today, right? Yeah, I know groceries and all of that. Relatively speaking, we say it's very expensive. But food in the United States is pretty damn cheap. I know we are used to the cheap food, so if it goes up a little bit, hey. But we have all this stuff that teases you. Fast food that, hey, I'm addicted to fast food. Well, I'm addicted to junk food, but I eat a lot of vegetables and stuff to stay healthy, and I work out hard. But anyhow, so we are fed a lot of food. You come to the United States of America. There is an abundance of food and restaurants, and that's what's encouraged here, right? And entertainment, man. The addictiveness of TV, what you call that? Real-time TV, reality TV. Look, I'd never forget. I used to be addicted to all those reality TV programs because you want to know what's going to happen next. What did they do next? And we have all this entertainment. So we are so entertained. You have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have all of this, that there's always something to do and look at. And, you can drown yourself into anything. But there are those who control all those avenues that are there giving you subliminal messages. Yesterday, at the end of the program, after we had that smart statement from Brother Howard, I was telling you guys about a new ad that I'm starting to see, and it's about how they control our minds, right? And they do it in such a subtle fashion, right? The doctors are expensive. Doctors spend north of $300,000 to get their degrees, right? So they have to make it up. So when you go to a doctor and he wants to charge you, the specialists want to charge you $150. Hey, if you understand the insurance policies that these guys have to buy in case they're sued, the amount of their payments to pay back the loans that they got for being a doctor, it's crazy. So, of course, they have to demand a higher salary to pay all that stuff that they did to get their degrees. Well, there are other professions that do a lot of work and are very important. Nurse practitioners, MP, all these different levels right under a doctor that either takes less schooling, less expensive to get. So if you've noticed, if you've driven around your city, any city in the country, in America, my brothers and sisters in Barcelona, Spain, don't have this problem because they have good health care. In Paris, they don't. In France, they don't have this problem. But you take a look around town. You see all these emergency centers popping up. You see all these care centers, first care centers, whatever they're called, emergency care, and small little hospitals, if you will, where it's in a neighborhood, right? You look at it as, wow, healthcare coming close to me. What it really is businesses reaping the benefit of our ignorance, right? Because the model that they're creating here is to further enrich stockholders who see this as a way to get government dollars easily and insurance dollars easily. But it doesn't matter because insurance companies have a vested interest in these little companies as well. So they're just paying themselves many times. So this ad now that I saw it on MSNBC, CNN, etc. It is telling it has all these happy people who got sick and went to, well, not the doctor, went to the nurse practitioner at one of these these healthcare facilities, right? So they're trying to train your mind now that when you go into these facilities and you see no doctors, what you see are nurse practitioners. And this is not at all anything against nurse practitioners. You guys work hard, you do the job, etc. But it's not about you. It's not about the nurses. It's not about all the other folks under the doctor. It's about what businesses has done. They have used the nurse practitioner now to do the job of the doctor and the nurse to work that much harder. I went into a Next once, and the amount of work they're doing now, each individual nurse practitioner, not doctor, but nurse practitioner, doing the work of the entire place. And you see your bill, it's more than it used to be, but their costs has gone down because they're using nurse practitioners as opposed to doctors, right? And then you say, where is that delta? How comes you are not benefiting from a lower cost because you're now being seen by a nurse practitioner who is paid a lesser salary? No, that change in direction or that change in finances goes to the shareholder and the executive profits. Hey, look at what we've done. We've established all these emergency care centers. There's another name that they have. These emergency care centers all established around town, and we're making a hell of a profit. We don't even have to populate them with all doctors anymore. Nurse practitioners, we increase our profit margin. We don't reduce the prices for the people coming to get the service. No, we don't. We just go ahead and pass it on to the shareholder, pass it on to the bonuses of the executives and their pie, their piece of the pie of the entire United States economic system. Their piece of the pie keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're eating bread and watching TV. And we are eating bread and circus. And we're worried about what's the next thing that's going to happen with Taylor Swift. Love Taylor Swift, but we're entertained. We're entertained. And what's the next movie? What's the next Transformer movie coming? What is the next this coming? And we're fed and we're happy. We're full. Our bellies are full. But they're back out there scheming on how best and how better now more so to take what you've worked for, what you have earned. Notice what I said, what you've earned. They're trying to figure out more and more ways to extract what you have earned, meaning not what they've earned, what you have earned. When I say that our aristocracy, our plutocracy, our oligarchy, all these rich people that you revere, they're built on your backs. And for all of you out there that continue to push this model, that continue to push that this is the way things have to be, that continue to push that, the private sector this way is great. Remember, that's the bottom line. I'm not talking about mom and pop store because they are just the same in getting taken advantage of. And this a monologue that I wasn't going to have again. I just thought about this as Jack talked about how we should treat each other. Well, if we can treat each other and speak to each other and let each other know these realities. And by the way, folks, the number is 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. All lines are open. I have 2 videos to show today. I want to tell you what the show is really supposed to be about today. in a few seconds. But again, let's get smart. The Powell Manifesto came about because we were getting too smart and we were asking these specific questions. Why is it that we work so hard and others make their bread, make their fortunes off of what we do? And somehow we ought to feel guilty when we ask for more. When we ask for more, when we tell these people who've profited not from their good deeds, but profited from what they've made on us, when are we going to say enough? Stop looking at your brothers and sisters as the one to feel guilty about. Stop looking at the other as being your problem. They are not your problem. They are, and I don't want to call it victims, but they are suffering through the same reality that you are. So folks, one of the goals of our movement, one of the goals of this type of media is not to sugarcoat who we are, but it's simply put out there who we should be. I wrote a book called How to Make America Utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. That should be our intent. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. Before I go to Harry, let me go to Joe. Come on in, Joe. Brother Joe, you're on.
Hey, you know what? We share so many. We're like-minded in so many ways. I was a member of Move to Amend for several years, because money is not speech. I'm sorry, and corporations they should die from time to time. But where we differ, I think, is eventually, you haven't mentioned it yet, but you'll get around to taxing unrealized capital gains, and you'll talk about tax cheats and what have you, and that reminds me of something that's going on right now. That the Democrats, they said we're gonna go after the billionaires. We're gonna make the billionaires pay their fair share, right? So approve this legislation so we can make the billionaires pay their fair share. But what one of the outcomes there was that on these platforms like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, anything, this is I know people, they do everything in Cash App, right? I mean, I went to U of H, right, and I lived on Scott Street. There's an economy in Cash App, right, and Venmo and PayPal, and now they're going to send you a 1099 if you do over $600 a year on Cash App or Venmo, and that is not making the billionaires pay their fair share. That is where ideas about progressive or communist ideas about taxation lead, right? They say one thing, but they deliver another, right? So and there's a new phrase creeping into your lexicon. I've heard you say it a few times now. Tax cheat, right? Well, is a mom, having a garage sale on her front lawn, making $1,000 in PayPal? Is she a tax cheat?
Can I respond, Joe? Can I respond? First of all, let me just say. No, one at a time. Let's not confuse things here. You're right. Okay. First of all, I don't have a problem saying you're right as far as why go after trying to figure out that $600 transaction, etc. So, you're right. What would we do as progressives? We would elect people to take that concern up and solve that concern, because the people we really want to go against are those people who have made their money off of our backs, which I think you and I would agree on, because again, that many of that was ill-gotten gains. So therefore, you and I shouldn't be fighting about that being a progressive thing about the 600. In fact, I think many times neoliberal Democrats put those poison pills in there to neuter what progressives really stand for. Remember, progressives are the ones that say we don't believe in things like mean testing for certain programs, because we believe everybody should have access to certain programs as needed, and we believe in the basic honesty of the average American citizen. So your statement that you just made, my brother, proves what I talk about. Those of us in the same boat fighting against each other when we should be a coalition against those who are working against us. So you mentioned that stuff is if that mom and pop in a garage say, you are so right about that. I don't want that woman who's out there or that man who's out there with a garage sale having to be burdened about doing what he's doing. But then if you have a corporation that's going around to 1,000 garage sales and making their money off the backs of all those other people, I want something done there. So again, instead of looking at what makes us different in little areas, what we ought to do, Joe, is work together on getting these issues solved. And I think based on what you said, given that you are also a member of Move to Amend, I'm touched. I was one of the board of directors of Move to Amend. I'm touched. That is, in fact, what I think we need to work on. And I don't disagree with you at all that mom and pop, we got to do everything in our power. Mom, and not only the person I'm talking about, the mom and pop pizza shop. I'm talking about the guy repairing your bikes. Those little bike shops, etc. I don't want them having to go through those burdens. I sure do want it for the corporations who are an entity within themselves. Continue, Joe.
So I think I lost part of what I wanted to say, but the bottom line is, progressives for some reason have aligned themselves with the Democrat Party, and they're going to show you the shiny thing in their right hand, and you're going to get the mess in their left hand, right?
Can I say this, Joe? The progressive movement at this point we are a duopoly right now. We have two parties. All right. You have a lot of independent parties or whatever, but they don't have, in market terms, they don't have market penetration. All right. So you have to align with an entity where you can win, where you can actually get progressives winning. Now, don't you conflate progressive Democrats with neoliberal Democrats. Neoliberal Democrats are nothing more than Republicans. Okay. So let's be clear here. And I want you to be very cognizant of this. If you want to make progress, you have to understand, you have to make sacrifices at time. In fact, when I'm talking to the progressive movement, and especially the younger ones who want to, just burn the whole darn thing down, just like how MAGA wants to burn all things down for the wrong reasons, progressives, a lot of the younger progressives do as well. And my thing is, that's not how you build. You build from without and from within. And you make sure and you do it in a manner. First of all, we are peaceful. Secondly, we can do it by simply changing minds. You're a progressive. You just won't admit it.
Look what's happening in the Republican Party right now. There's a huge struggle going on to get rid of the neo-whatevers, right?
Exactly. You're right. Joe. The problem with their MAGA movement, Joe, it's too much. And I got to let you go to get the other calls, right? But here's the problem with the MAGA movement. The problem with the MAGA movement is so much of it is based on misinfo. I know you don't want to accept that right now. If you and I had a cup of coffee, we would go through them item by item by item. But I understand where it comes from. And that's the reason why I tell you, I hang with MAGA, I hang with everybody. Because again, it is important for us to see each other as the people that force on top is having their boots on our necks. I got to let you go, Joe. Thank you so kindly for calling in and having, and having something necessary to say. All right.
Looking forward to that coffee, buddy.
Take care. We will.
America great again. Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. All right. Let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry. How you doing, my brother?
Buenos dias, hermano Alberto Willis. I'm going to finish that sentence for you when you were talking about the MAGA people with misinformation. Like you once told a caller on this show, I don't have to mention his name, stop listening to right-wing crap.
Yeah, you have to stop the right wing.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, I want people to analyze everything they hear on right wing media. And also, good morning, Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. And I also want them to analyze what I say. In other words, don't take what I'm saying here at face value. Go look it up. I
Exactly.
enjoy that folks are going to fact check me. Okay, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Harry.
Yeah. Yes, and they should fact check the right wing stuff, is what you're saying. That's
Yes.
what they should do. To fact check what you say, and they should fact check what they get on when they hear stuff on Fox to see
Yes,
if it's
sir.
true or it's, as you say, right wing crap when it is crap. Anyway, but anyway, I've been listening to Economic Update the last 2 weeks with Richard Wolff. And what I would like you to do is do a show in the future of breaking down what BRICS and the G7 is, comparing those two. Because one of the things that Richard Wolff pointed out, I think it wasn't last week, so I go back in the archives and listen again. I'm not sure if it was last week's show, because he's going to be on again this morning, or 2 weeks ago. He talked about how Israel does not want the United States to invest in emerging BRICS because Israel will not get the weapons that they've been getting because Russia and China and India and I forget the other one, BRICS are not going to invest in.
It's Brazil, India, China, South Africa. Brazil, China, India, South Africa, and there are a few more that have joined the movement.
Right. And United States and Dr. Wolff or Professor Wolff has been saying the United States is going to be left behind if they don't get with those countries and invest because they're the future. And I just want you to compare, when you do that show, compare BRICS to the G7. As he was talking about, the G7 used to be the big dog up front, but now it's going to be replaced by BRICS. And as he explained, Israel does not want that. They're balking at that because then they won't enjoy the weapons that they've been getting from the United States because those other countries are not going to do that. And I just want you to
let me just say, Harry, I won't go into it right now with BRICS versus G7 or whatever, because also remember when we had the G12, Russia was actually a part of both of them, right? These are just economic powerhouses that get together. And
right.
One of the reasons that I really like the idea of BRICS is I do want a competing force for the American dollar, right? Right now, the American dollar is what everything is centralized on. I'd like I would like things centralized on other currencies or new currencies. And the reason why is when you have a monopoly on currency, and let's say what's happening in Israel right now with the United States funding the destruction of Gaza, what you can actually say is, well, whoever doesn't agree with the United States, they just sanction them and take away their dollars like they did in Panama. And when Noriega didn't do what they told him to do for over a year, Americans, our money is based on the dollar, and for over a year, our economy was crippled. So I want other avenues that we can have. Shakula Hairstylist, welcome to Politics Done Right. So I do want there to be different poles that one direction doesn't hold it all. Because again, what it means then is if I don't like what you're doing, I'll kill your economy. And I think that is completely and entirely unfair. Anyway, Harry, I got to go to Johnny. So anything else real quick?
You want there to be you want there to be competition is what you're saying. And that's what Dr. Wolff was saying the last 2 weeks. That's a sign of the United States being in decline. And I'll just leave you with one more thing. Hallelujah, that Donald Trump, that judge said that he is not immune to crimes that he committed with January 6th. And let's just hope and pray that this thing will get this trial.
Hey, I got an 8-minute piece to do on that. So let me take these next two calls, and then I want to play an 8-minute piece on that. That is good. Thank you.
Listen.
All right, Harry. Thank you, brother.
Roberto, Howard, and Jack as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in. Mayor of Politics Done Right, brother Johnny. Come on in.
Hey, this is for the benefit of our caller, Joe, earlier.
Mm-hmm.
This is some constructive criticism I hope he'll take to heart and start making a change. When Joe and people like him call in to progressive media, left-wing media, if you will, and they refer to the Democratic Party as Democrat Party, that's red flag number one. That's rhetorical red flag number one. It's a Democratic Party. And when you say Democrat Party, you may be lazy about it or you may be doing it intentionally. It's a signal to us that you're not friendly. Number two, when you conflate communists and progressives in the same sentence, when you talk about tax equity, again, you're signaling to us that you're not being serious about honest, earnest discourse. And finally, you always, when you talk, you sound like you're always on the verge of yelling. That's another red flag. We see that a lot of times with people on the right who call in to progressive media. It's a turnoff, I've got to tell you. But in your defense, and I agree, garage sales, I do not see as income. They should not be listed in anyone's W-2 form or W-4 or 10W-40 form. That comes from the sale of stuff that you worked hard for and you've already paid taxes on, and you should be able to benefit from the sale of those things without having to quantify them to the government. I agree with that. But that's not the same thing as what Egberto and I have talked about in the past. When we talk about equity, we're talking about a fair, equitable tax code, income tax code, a progressive income tax code like under Republican Eisenhower in the early 1950s, but with zero, zip, nada, no loopholes for the ultra wealthy. And I think you could wrap your head around that, Joe. I think you would agree with that. And that's all I have to say.
Brother Johnny, Mayor of Politics Done Right, thank you for your call. Thank you for your always intelligent discourse. Have a good one, brother. All right, let's go to brother Donald. Come on in, Donald.
Good morning, Egberto. I'm going to talk soft and calm. How are you today?
I am doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Mushrooms, you keep them in the dark and you feed them BS and they grow. That's what we are as mushrooms. Okay. What you got to look at is Roman Empire. They had the Colosseums. They did the games. That was all a distraction. It moves on. And then what we have now is education. Our education system does not teach people to be leaders. It teaches them to be sheep. And until we can break that, we're going to still keep getting the same thing. It doesn't teach young people to be entrepreneurs, business leaders. It teaches them to get a job in a corporation. Get a job in a corporation, get benefits, get your insurance. And what did the kings have? They had tax collectors. What are the tax collectors for the government right now? Corporations. They take your taxes out every week or bi-weekly or monthly or however you get paid. And the system works for them. And until we break that, it's never going to change.
You know what, Donald? Very, very smart commentary. You're actually very, very right, sir. Thank you so kindly for your call. Let me go play I have two videos. I'm only going to get to play one. So let me play the 8-minute one, and then I'll come back and take calls at 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. So let's get busy with the video, and then I'll continue talking. Well, the DC court did its job. It took them a while, but they came out with that unanimous decision that said, no, the president is not above the law. He does not get that immunity that he wants to, that immunity that will give him the opportunity to murder people without any consequences, that opportunity to do anything illegal without consequences. He was denied that ability. But I'm going to tell you, there's something that concerns me about this entire dialogue. I want you to listen to this, to the president's, to his response, and then I want to tackle how the reporters handle it, how the journalists handle it, because it's the same mistake that they made previously. So listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
And depending on other court cases involving Donald Trump and his other litigation schedule, we could be seeing a trial of former President Trump for insurrection in the spring.
Von Hilliard, I understand you have new reaction from the Trump camp. What is it?
Yeah, I just want to read the statement that was just sent to me here by Trump campaign spokesman. Quote, if immunity is not granted to a president, every future president who leaves office will be immediately indicted by the opposing party. Without complete immunity, a president of the United States would not be able to properly function. Deranged Jack Smith's prosecution of President Trump for his presidential official acts is unconstitutional under the doctrine of presidential immunity and the separation of powers. Prosecuting a president for official acts violates the Constitution and threatens the bedrock of our republic. President Trump respectfully disagrees with the D.C. Circuit's decision and will appeal it in order to safeguard the presidency and the Constitution. Again, that is the new statement just sent a minute ago by the Trump campaign spokesman here. I think it's important to note each of those issues that was outlined by the Trump campaign in that statement was thoroughly written about by those three judges in their appeals decision here. And in part of this, I think it's important to pick out from the appeals court decision in which they write former President Trump's stance would collapse our system of separated powers by placing the president beyond the reach of all three branches. Of course, this is not just about the federal election interference charges against Donald Trump, but also the potential use of the Oval Office by presidents in the future. Of course, Donald Trump is running for the nomination again. He has talked about being dictator for a day. He has talked about the strengths of having a strong man running a country. And so the decision here by the appeals court in the likely Supreme Court hearing oral arguments and taking this case up themselves and ultimately issuing their final ruling will have great implications not only for this trial that is slated to take place against Donald Trump, but also future presidents of the United States.
Now, here's the deal. Notice they go ahead and they tell you the statement that Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said that if a president doesn't get immunity, that it's a danger to the country and a danger to the Constitution. Why? Because people will come after the president. They will try to put the president in jail or do all these things to the president if we don't give presidents immunity. It's ironic, right? Because Donald Trump said that one of the first things he's going to do if he got reelected was to do exactly that to Biden. And if you have immunity, that means after Biden is done, and Donald Trump shouldn't be able to touch him. But he's speaking against himself, but the journalists have failed here. Let me give an example. When Donald Trump puts out a notice and says that if he doesn't get immunity, this will put the country in danger, the Constitution in danger, because the president, they will come after the president. Donald Trump forget that he was the 45th president. There were 44 presidents before him. Not one of these presidents requested some sort of immunity. Not one of these presidents were actually persecuted after they left office. And the only one that we should have persecuted after office, Nixon, he got a pardon before any type of prosecution occurred. So why isn't the media, when Donald Trump puts a statement out like that, the president must have immunity. The president must have immunity to guarantee the Constitution and to make sure that the country is safe, right? Because he may have to do things that later on. No. Again, that journalist immediately should say, well, Mr. President, weren't there 44 other presidents before you? 44 over the last 200 plus years. And we never had that problem. Why should we be concerned about it? Because of you who created an insurrection, you who defrauded many, you who's nothing but a spoiled, illegitimate president that's a criminal. Why didn't they just say that? But again, this is the same media when Donald Trump was saying Obama was born in Thailand or Obama was born in Kenya. Show me your birth certificate. If we acknowledge that Obama's mother was that white woman in Kansas, a born American in Kansas, that should never have gotten any traction, because it didn't matter if Obama was born in Kenya, Thailand, or any part of Africa or any part of the world, because his mother was an American citizen. And if his mother or father or both are American citizens, it doesn't matter where you are born, you are a natural born citizen. Senator McCain was born in the same hospital that I was born in, Cocosolo, on the Canal Zone in Panama, Provincia de Colón. That's where Senator McCain was born. Exactly same hospital that I was born in Panama. Did you see Donald Trump question McCain about birth certificates? Again, the media allow these things that have no basis to get traction. That story should have been squelched immediately, just like this story about Donald Trump saying a president needs immunity or it'll be a danger. There were 44 presidents previous to Donald Trump. Come on. Let's do our job and make sure the people are informed immediately. There were 44 presidents before Donald Trump. Not one of them were persecuted or prosecuted or attempted prosecution by anyone. So let's be clear here, that's a bunch of bunk. A bunch of bunk. And the birther thing is one of the things that really got to me, right? Because the media should have jumped on that right away and said his mother is from Kansas. Doesn't matter where he was born. And if the average American citizen learned and knew that, not a chance would have made that an issue where we spend so much time, effort, and people who really thought Obama was the Manchurian candidate or anything like that, that could have never metastasized into our body politic as it did. And here again, they have allowed Donald Trump to get a narrative that makes absolutely no sense, right? A narrative that says, well, the reasons we need this sort of immunity is so that bad things don't happen to presidents if they have to do bad things to protect the country. Junk. Let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick. Welcome aboard.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Talk to me.
I wanted to help. I wanted to help Brian out. He was confused about how somebody that has dump trucks on their property can afford a nice home and why they're raising it up. First off, he supports and lives in a state that is business first, so there's not going to be zoning. Second, all those dump trucks are probably working in developments which get $1 million contracts to raise homes out of floodplains, and the owner probably understood that and did that for themselves. That's to benefit insurance and FEMA, which is another business first model. And the model for building homes now is to flood out people around them. That's just what they do, and that's because of climate change. So maybe if his party had actually acknowledged climate change, maybe 30 years ago, maybe you wouldn't be going through this. Second, I want to kind of shed a light. Everybody's bringing up right-wing radio, at least they have lately on their program. And rightfully so. It's kind of a competition, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not. It's funded by right-wing think tanks, and they pay people to call in. They give them a script. Those aren't real callers. So like it's real is doing yourself a disrespect. Go ahead.
I mean, look, Patrick, you nailed it. The right invest in all of their platforms, from blogs to right-wing radio to everything, and it's all there to misinform. It's there to make people so think. I mean, they create boogie persons, and it's all to serve. Again, I want everybody to look up Project 25. I was going to talk about Project 25 this morning as well. but we're running out of time. So maybe I'll talk about Project 25 tomorrow. But and what its intent on Medicare Advantage, etc. So we'll take care of that. But thank you for bringing that up, Patrick. As usual, always have something sensible to say. I'm going to have to go to quick 35 seconds now per person. So come on. Thank you, Patrick. You have a good rest of your day. All right, let's go to MOD. Come on in, MOD. You got about 45 seconds. MOD, 45 seconds, and it's counting.
Must not be there.
Okay, let's go to Brian. 45 seconds, Brian. Okay, there's Brian going to come in a second.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
As soon as we
have some calls coming in.
We have calls coming in, folks. So bear with us 1 second as we handle these issues. But what Patrick has to say is something important when we talk about paid people being paid to call in, etc. Brian, you're on. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Am I a paid person? Yeah, am I a paid person?
Oh, I don't think you're a paid person at all.
Yeah. Okay. Climate change is a man-made myth. And those $800,000 lots that the illegal aliens are moving into, where do they get the money for that? $800,000 to park a bunch of dump trucks on? Where's the money coming from? I didn't bring that up. The individual, the black man that was telling me about it, I didn't bring it up. I didn't think about it.
You know what? Again, I don't know that is a valid question for you to ask. Okay, nobody's asking you where you get your money from. So, Brian, I'm not going to harp on that anymore because, again, like I said, it's none of your business how somebody raises their money. Ask Exxon how they get their money. Okay. You don't have the Brian, my dear brother, you have no right. You have no right to go interrogate somebody who buys a piece of property. If you think they did something illegal, then take that pathway and take care of it that way. However, please don't question where somebody or how they got their money, because again, it is as if you think only money belongs to certain kinds of people. So I'll talk to you later. Come to me with something new the next time, Brian. Thank you, my brother. Let's go to Stephen. Come on in, Stephen.
Good morning, Alberto. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. Talk to me, my friend.
Good deal. I want to address the issue regarding personnel that buys property or have property that 18-wheelers or dump trucks park on. I have a partner, Juan Raul Garza, that I've known for over 36 years. He is a millionaire by any standard. He has given 10 acres to his son, where he initially wanted to put a pulga, which you in English is flea market. There initially, but he found out that truckers were willing to pay $100 per month to park their vehicles there. He took on some, and then he gave the business over to his son, who reached now somewhere between $10,500 a month in revenue. All right, he transformed that from a sand pit into a parking space. All right, there's no issue there that he's not a citizen. He's a citizen. This man is now 83 years old.
Hey, Stephen, right? Stephen, I want to stop you for one reason. First of all, you called in to make the case of that place that Brian was talking about. Where did he get the money at? Who is he? First of all, I want to thank you for calling in to say this. But my contention is this, my brother. You don't have to explain that you have the wherewithal to do what you're doing. I'm talking about your friend. They don't have to explain it to Brian. Yeah. Brian has no damn reason to question How did he get the money? Where did it come from? That is like in the old days of Jim Crow. If I saved up my money and I was able to get a nice car and I drive my nice car and somebody like Brian comes along, how were you able to afford that? I can't. How can? No, we don't entertain that. So first of all, thank you for calling in for that, Brian. But you needn't have to tell me the reason why this guy has a legitimate business. It's none of my damn business. And my first assumption is that it is a legitimate business until proven, until something happens. So thank you for calling in. But brother, next time we speak, let's speak about something that we are going to move this system positive. Brian had no right.
You're absolutely right. And thank you so much for the time, Alberto. Have a great day.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, let's see. MOD, you got 10 seconds.
Morning. Good morning, sir.
Okay, is this MOD?
Okay. Is this MOD?
No, this is still Stephen.
Oh, okay,
Jack,
Stephen.
Go to MOD real quick.
Yeah, let's drop Stephen and go to MODs. MOD, real quick.
Let's see if MOD made it back in. MOD, are you there?
Okay, what's the other number? Because it seems like there's somebody else there. Okay, all right.
Well, all right,
that's fine.
We're good.
We're at 56. So as usual at 56, I like to pass it along to Howard and Jack. So Howard and Jack.
Well, I was sitting here thinking, Brian's comments, he's working off of secondhand information. Somebody told him this was going on. Did he fact check it? Did he go and say, okay, where is this place? Let me go investigate this. There's something called fact checking. And before you open your mouth and talk, you should know what you're talking about and not work off of secondhand information. That's that's just
Howard,
my
observation. You know what is so funny? Look at the person who called in who knows the owner of the lot. You see what I'm saying? They didn't have to do that. And I wanted to stop that guy because Brian has no right to figure out, I wonder where he's getting his money from. It's none of your damn business. I'm sorry. Anyway, continue, Howard.
Point. I think we've made that point. We're just about out of time here.
Jack?
So go ahead and close it out for us. Jack's busy.
All right. Anyway, folks, first of all, love all the callers, love all the listeners. Thank you all. As usual, we didn't get fully completed with the program, so go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Howard. Thank you, callers. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.